All right. I think we are broadcasting. I'm here with Richard Hopf. Let me just make sure it's working here on casting. There we go. I'm here with Richard Hopf. Let me just make sure. It is. Okay. Sorry about that. Hey, Richard. How's it going?
Hi, Chris.
Good to see you again.
Tremendous time here in the Alps, I can tell.
Yeah. You moved up to the Alps, right? You're going to have you're going to be closer to UAPs to detect them easier.
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? But yes, we're a little bit closer to the orbits, to let's say to the satellites, to everything that flies around us. Today, just a half an hour ago, the two Austrian jets just roared over our heads. They
What
have
kind of jets?
our dragons, something like Draken, Swedish
Draken.
Drakens. So yes, we have 9 and 2 are operating, and we
Only
saw
two.
them. Yeah, they're a small
That's not
country,
very good maintenance rates.
and software upgrade problems,
You know it, man. Software.
Oh yeah,
Well, cool. Well, thanks for being here, obviously. And
always.
you are the co-founder of Sky360, sky360.org, and I guess founder, right? Did anyone else co-found it with you? You're the original only founder.
Now, yeah, okay. There was SkyHub at the beginning,
Yeah.
2 years ago, and I was, I think, member number 5, something like this, or 4 or 5. And yeah, last year, the SkyHub people decided to close it down. I decided not to close it down and to carry on the flag, and that's what I did.
Yes.
Gathered a lot of people, especially developers from the Discord channel around us, and yeah, formed some teams. We're now having 6 teams, 6 developer teams. I think 18 developers working on it, and still we are looking for developers every time, every day. I talk to developers and make them interested in helping us, getting them on board.
Excellent. And so, in particular, what we're talking about is specifically what developers. What do you need, I guess, right now?
Actually, the whole spectrum. So we need people for databases, people for backend, front ends, video streaming, AI, machine learning, and training. So the whole spectrum. So almost nothing we don't incorporate here. So any developer who is interested in helping out, our core is Python language. So that makes it easy for most to jump on board. For the front end, it's of course JavaScript and all kinds of flavors around it, but I'm not a specialist to go deep in here. So we have people who are very deep in UI and they have their tools. And database is Neo4j. So if someone is a Neo4j guru, please come on and tell us. So yeah.
For J, I don't know what that. What is it? Say it again.
Neo4j is a database. It's a sort of database. It's not a query language database, but it's you can say it's a file structure database, something like a file allocation table. It more or less, it's more than a database than a file allocation table, but it stores the files with their path and properties, so you can very quickly retrieve them without going around an overhead of a database, which is the query language, which takes a lot of time to query data. But if you are in the good position that you create the data, you name it and you position it the way you know it is, and then you can retrieve it very quickly. So that's why we took Neo4j.
Neo4j, right?
Right.
Okay, excellent. So I guess the question is, how's it going? How's the development going? Are you going to make your timelines, and what are
Yeah.
they?
So okay. Let's say we started software developing last year, October. What we said is we take our time to do that, not to haste on it, but we have to do a lot of experiments. So our goal is, this 150,000 stations worldwide. that means we have to develop a system that is available. So the components are available on the market. Doesn't make sense to put on military equipment that's not available. So we have to find the right equipment, and that's what we do since. Oh dear, my phone is ringing. So that's what we do: research and development on hardware and on software tools. We do this since October. We are now in the state where we more or less have tested all bounds, so we know where to go. And we focus now on September for the first release. That's will be still an alpha release, but it should come out in September, along with the new hardware equipment, fisheye cam. We found now our sweet cam. It's a 20 megapixel camera with a nice 30 millimeter aperture fisheye. So
Excellent.
it will allow us to capture the ISS and to track it.
Perfect.
And this is 400 kilometers. You know, that's a pretty feast to do that. It's not easy to do.
So that gives you more than I remember in our first talk back in maybe October, I guess.
Yeah.
It was about how to, break out. You called it to actually discern the ISS. You needed 10 pixels. Is that correct?
So now for object recognition, you need, let's say, something that is of 10 pixels. With the ISS, we will see the ISS only with 2 pixels.
Oh, okay. With this,
But
yeah.
because we know when and where, we
Yeah.
can then steer our PT set to and say, are you really the ISS? And then prove that we reached our benchmark. So that's why we talk about this. This is actually our benchmark to find the ISS and to be able to track it. Because the ISS is a small object compared to the distance. It's just 100 meters in max length, and it's over 400 kilometers distance to the ground. So if we can capture that, we can capture almost anything which is closer to the ground. Cool. And that's actually the idea, to cast a wide net over the globe, to do this with citizens, with people who invest their own time and money to set up their stations. And our task is to create the right equipment and to make everything and design everything open source. So it's free and then open to everyone.
Excellent. And I guess how's it going on the AI section? AI material training, I guess. Do you have to use the exact same equipment when you're training the neural network?
It helps, yes. True, it helps. So if you take a normal camera, let's say you take your smartphone, you make a picture of an airplane. There's a certain resolution and aspect, and the airplane takes a certain amount of real estate within this image. And if you train a software that recognizes such images as there's a plane in it, then you will have difficulties in taking the material from our fisheyes, because there you will see, let's say, a 747 on 30,000 feet will be resolved by 10 to 15 pixels. So with that small amount, you cannot compare to high resolution images. So that's why the material has to come from a fisheye. It's also because of the distortion, and the hemisphere is bulbed and projected onto a two-dimensional image. So you get a kind of distortions. But at the end, so the software so basically I have to explain it just to make it quick. So yes. Basically we first now focus on visual detection. So that's what we set on our task. We want to solve that the problem first, because that's the most urgent one, and people are more convinced to see high resolution videos than seeing a passive radar waterfall, for example. You cannot analyze anything from that. So an image or a video does much more tell you. So that's why we first focus on optical sensors. And this optical part is split into two. So there's a fisheye that scans the hemisphere 24/7. It runs round the clock and analyzes what's going on. Is there any event, something that's moving in the sky? And then detect what it is. Is it worth tracking? Is it worth sending the zoom scope to it? And that's why we came up with a 3-level approach where we say, okay, first we detect there's movement, significant movement, and it's not clouds and it's not swamp gas and what have you. And the second level is where we look at the kinematics. How is it moving? Is it a curvy move or is it more straight line? So let's say a plane goes more in a straight line and birds do rather curvy paths. So that's the second level. And the third level is, of course, the image recognition. So we have 3 levels where we can already detect something and tell the PT set to go there and have a close-up look and record.
That's what you mentioned, yeah, about the ISS here, right? So distance
Right.
to the ground, 400 kilometers.
Yeah.
So you'd have one station here would be able to point to it, but anything closer, right? Even before, even say you just get the first level system.
True.
I mean, what are we going to be able to identify these things? We should, right? I mean, we'll give
Yeah,
them more data at
absolutely.
least.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are training our material right now, and that's also a call to the community. So we need people who help training the material to sort out the raw material and say, okay, this is a bird and this is a plane, because we have to do it as humans because we're trained to do that to recognize a bird and the plane. But we have to tell the software to be able to do the same that we do.
Yeah, excellent. So that's right now, right? You guys, are you still looking for AI, people to look at AI material and
Yeah,
verify it?
absolutely. Yeah. So we
Okay.
have tons. We have 4 terabytes of data, of fisheye data, and that we now only took 100 gigabyte out of it, and we now have 10,000 images that have to be tagged just from the 100 gigabyte of material.
I see.
Tons of work. Tons of work.
And so basically you're looking for volunteers, right? It's over a 2-week period, 1 to 2 weeks. This is a UAP right here you guys captured on your fisheye.
Yeah.
Or Sky Hub, yes? Or
that was in Scarp times. It was 2020, May 2020. Around that 27. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent.
So that was not the UAP. That was just the plane. The UAP comes, I think, later on.
Okay. And so, but this is the material that you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Is this the same lens? Does it look exactly like this?
No. This is not. This is still hardware. Let's say 2 years ago, we started
Okay.
with SkyHub with security camera equipment because it was available and it is cheap compared to other cameras. So just because of the easy procurement, so that they are available from the shelf, we started with these security cameras. But these security cameras have a downside. So you see it blinking in the middle. So
Yeah, here it is, right? It
yeah,
stopped.
it is.
So it came over here and then stops. Now it's not blinking.
Oh, you're still playing, okay?
Yeah, it's still playing, and then it moves, right? So
Oh
what
yeah,
is that?
this video. Okay, sorry, I mixed it up with the other one. Yeah, that's the
There's
weird
2.
one.
And then it just jets off like this.
Yeah.
So this is the fisheye, or the first version, I guess we would call it, or the Sky Hub, older hardware.
The older hardware, right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is security camera material. So the difference to the material now is this is a 12 megapixel camera. We will use a 20 megapixel camera, but that's not the crucial part. The crucial part is the optic. This is an 18 millimeter fisheye optic, and we will use a 30 millimeter fisheye optic. So we have much more optical resolution projected on a larger sensor as well.
So it's not, it's better for all the reasons, not just the megapixel. Yeah.
Now, megapixel is nice, but it doesn't. If you have a small optic, you can throw hundreds of megapixels beneath it. You don't see anything.
Well,
So
this is like 11 minutes
resolution.
later, right? Same night, so 11 minutes later. And we can talk about it. You see coming here, or this is the UAP? It's one of these here, I think. So you have the moon there, Venus. There's like a storm over here. Some cranes. I think a helicopter goes by in this one as well.
Yeah, big one later on.
But I guess, what if there was one other fisheye camera in Houston this night? If we had one other system looking up, because is this system still looking up? Is it still active?
I have to ask Adam. I'm not sure.
Yeah. But I guess if we had one other station, you know,
Yeah, so that's the basic idea of the network. So if we place a station every 30 kilometers on the planet, we would use 150,000 for the civilized area on the planet, and then we can triangulate. So then we always have at least two stations that capture one event if it flies by or over, and then we can say where it is, how far away, how big it is, how fast it is. Yeah, that's the helicopter.
that's the helicopter. Yeah, I guess level drone. Hey guys, how's it going, Aaron? Um, first question was is analyzing data from strange phenomena is data on GitHub. I guess you guys do use GitHub, right, for the software?
Yeah, it's our repository.
But that'll be the
But
first
we
version will
don't,
be ready in September.
yeah,
Can
but
they
we do not
track
store
speed?
data there on GitHub. It's only source code.
And here it stops right here, right? That's
Yeah,
the this is crazy. Yeah, blinks over,
and then
gets to
makes
here.
a funny turn to the sides, and then a sharp turn to the right.
So I think we need. Hey Danny, how's it going? Hey Beverly, hey guys, Alien Love, thanks for being here. We have basically this UAP video, but we don't know how far away it is.
Yeah,
So we can't determine speed.
right.
Yeah, so that's the biggest issue.
Yeah,
So once we can figure out if we had one other station here, which is the whole point of the triangulation, then we could
yeah,
figure out basic
sure.
speed and distance.
But there's more to derive from what you see here because we know about the camera, so we know the exposure rate. We know the limit of the optical resolution. So anything that is of a certain size and certain distance, we would not see. So in the case we see it, tells us a certain aspect. So in size distance combination. So you can derive something. You can even derive kinematics and compare them with others. So let's say if you say the big one on below on the south side was a helicopter because it
Yeah,
was
this one.
close and very blurry.
Yeah, I can go. I'll fast forward here.
Yeah.
Where does he go by?
I showed them beforehand.
Is it before this? Huh? Did I miss it? Oh, sorry.
It's gone. It's gone.
It's been erased.
Anyhow,
Yeah.
what I want to say
Yep.
is if you watch those behavior, what objects in the sky do, and even if you do it just with one sensor with the fisheye, yeah, there it is in the middle. This is a different behavior than the one that you see in the center. It just behaves different, so you can tell something about it. Is it, for example, you see planes always go on the same paths if they approach an airport, for example. I mean, I'm talking about civil planes. So they have their flight paths. So if something is out the flight path, you can most times you can say, okay, that could not be a plane because it is much slower. Yeah, and it is off its path. And if it's, let's say, not flying in a straight line, then it cannot be a plane because, yeah, a helicopter can do that, but planes don't. Planes mostly fly straight or in a fisheye, little curvatures.
And that's part of the programming, right? The kinematics that'll highlight something's.
Yeah, so we classify. We try to find out groups of behavior. So Lionel is working on that. So to find out what the tracking path looks like, how fast it takes from frame to frame, and then classify that in groupings of order of the polynomial function on the track and several other parameters. And you can throw that on a neural network and detect and find out groups of objects. But yes, at the end, we cannot say for 100% from kinematics what it is, but it gives us, let's say, a good hint. It is a second level. The third level is, of course, the optical recognition, because then we can, by optics, we can say that looks like an insect, or that looks like a stiff airplane.
So what do you think? So what is this here down here, Richard? You know, is that
I don't
an
see it well
airplane?
enough. That could be a star as well. I don't see it in. So the
Yeah.
screen resolution of what I see on my screen right now is just a quarter of my desktop. So
Yeah,
I
exactly.
have to look it up what it is, but it could be just a star.
Well, it's moving. That's why I think
Is it
it's an
moving?
airplane or a satellite.
Good.
Yeah, there's a moving.
Yeah.
There's basically these two ones that cross. There's your helicopter here. You have what looks like an airplane, or
Yeah, it blinks a bit. Does it?
yeah, it looks like it does blink.
Hmm.
And then this. So, is there any way it's not a drone? I mean, my guess would be it's a drone.
Any kind of drone, yeah.
That would be the idea,
Oh,
right? It's
yeah,
probably what it is.
yeah.
Well, we
But the
can't prove it.
drone, if you tell it, if you say from its behavior and from that far distance, and you can say it's a drone, yes. Interesting would be now to zoom in on the PT set and have a look on it. Is it really a drone? That's why drones are still in the hot categories for sending the PT set to.
Hmm.
Birds not, because if you find something that behaves like a bird and you have 25 birds in your same view, you can rather say there's no UAP within these birds. So that will be just a swarm of birds. But a drone like that could also be a drone that it's not made from us.
Yeah, I mean, it's still weird.
Yes,
But
did you see this 90-degree
yeah,
rectangle turn it did? I mean, yes, there are drones that can do that. This is these championship drones where they fly in high speeds through buildings. They can do these extreme maneuvers. But in this case, this is far away. You've seen the helicopter, how close it was and how big
yeah,
it was. This is far away. To keep a drone up with that light, it's also strong in light. So if you take a normal drone of, let's say, $150 from Home Depot, and you fly it up 500 meters above ground, you don't see the light anymore.
you don't.
So that must be a strong light on that drone.
Hmm. Well, I know with just using night vision goggles that, if it's a green light, it's very easy to see. Sorry, difficult to see, right? With the goggles. If it's a
Yeah.
white light, though, it shines
Yeah.
out super bright.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I guess the whole point is the material, right? You just have to train it. Like, what does a drone actually look like? What is on that device? That camera, that lens, that sensor, like you talked about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there are several sensors, of course. We try to capture anything that's possible and that's available. And there are some good ideas from developers. Yesterday was Sunday, and we have our developer meetings on Sunday. Oh, by the way, everyone is invited to join us. There was an idea of Boyan, and his idea was to create a helix antenna and wrap it around the PT set scope. By doing this, we have two sensors in one. We have a directional antenna wrapped around a telescope that points exactly to an event in the sky.
Hmm.
So we have actually two sensors, an optical sensor and an EM sensor, RF sensor, sorry,
Cool.
radio frequency sensor. And so we not only will see what it is optically, but also can record on SDR devices what the emission of in RF in certain spectral ranges. I think they go from a couple of hundred megahertz up to, I think, 20 or 30 gigahertz.
Excellent. Yeah. You remember Jim Segala? Did you look at
Yeah.
his MooPass devices?
Yeah.
Where I guess is it like that? I guess so it just detects it.
I'm not quite sure. I have to talk to Jim about it. Um,
Yeah.
we are also talking about what people call, especially from the MIT, they call it the muon detector. The idea is that a charged particle that goes through, let's say, even through aluminum, could create a reaction in an optical sensor that is totally shielded against light. So the idea is if there's a charged particle which is not in the normal spectral range of a photon, passes through the aluminum cover, then it must be of a certain different type of charged particle than a photon. And so they came up with the idea, or this researcher, the MIT, to say that this is a muon detector. So we are now also testing these muon detectors, what they really detect.
Okay.
This is also something people come up with ideas. Some are brilliant and some are, yeah, testable.
Those are the options, brilliant and testable.
Yeah, that's a spectrum. So there's a lot of in between.
So what we're working on now, Richard, is basically trying to figure out how to organize experiments, what's required, how to organize proposals, how to vote on them, etc. What do you think about how we should organize our efforts? I guess, is there any way we could help you guys in the same course trying to figure out some of these issues?
First of all, we need any developer we can get. Any help is important. Any brain that wraps its mind around the subject is important. And even if people only have ideas, most ideas are questionable, of course. But yeah, we talk with everyone because most times people tell you something and there's a little thing in it which is interesting. Some people come with ideas, and for example, the idea of the smartphones. Why do we have so bad UAP videos when there are so many smartphones out there? So people come up with ideas, for example, to combine hundreds of smartphones. No idea. There's a project. There's someone, I forgot the name. He creates a whole array of old smartphone cameras, and he creates, let's say, a huge image of it. Stitching all these little tiny, not tiny, these images together on a huge patchwork, yeah. And then he's of course able to zoom in because he was able to zoom out because he had so many.
Yes.
If you just take one image of one smartphone sensor, of course you can zoom in up to the native resolution of your desktop screen, and then it's just blurry. But you can zoom out if you have a patch. So that's actually a brilliant idea. But on the other hand, it's still smartphone optics, and they don't have a resolution that's good enough to capture not even stars in the sky. So, for example, if you look in the sky and you see, as a human, you see so many stars, and you look through your smartphone, and 10% remains.
Yeah, we're kind of grappling with that as well. Is what is usable data? So you can spend a lot of effort, like you just mentioned, and you can patch together all these things, these cell phones. But at the end of the day, it's not providing the resolution that we need, or at least Sky 360 needs. Then it's not usable.
Yeah, I mean, there are people who work with webcams, so they have a nice resolution, 16 megapixels, but tiny little optics. And they only can capture, let's say, planes that are not more on distance than 5 kilometers, for example. The question is, what do you do with such a camera? You would need, every 5 kilometers, you would need such a webcam pointing to the sky. That would raise our number of 150,000 stations, I think, in the millions. And this is just improbable to do. It's just impractical to do.
Yeah, I guess so. We're trying to get our own UAP Society Sky 360 going. I guess I know we had Tony ordered one enclosure. We could order a different one, I guess, if he's working. But how's that going? Are the enclosure? Can people order the enclosures right now and
Yes,
start
of
building
course.
them?
Yeah, of
Excellent.
course. Go to our website, sky360.org, and in the menu you find store. And you click on the store and you find the enclosure and you can purchase it. That was okay. I have to explain this. Why do we develop hardware and then sell it? We're not making money. It's not about. This is always the question that is in the room. Of course, is there money grabbing in play? No, it is not. We are an NGO and we have rules to keep that. We are not allowed to make more profit than I think $2,000 per year. That's a limit. So it's not about money. So what we do is we develop the hardware that is needed, that is not available from the shelf. For example, the enclosure. We had the situation at the very beginning with SkyHub that people came up with tubes and pipes and plastic cabinets and what have you. So every station was different. Every station looked like steampunk, weird things. Yeah, it was not standardized. And the thing is, this station should have a certain standard, because if we cast the network of 150,000 stations around the globe, we want to make sure to know which hardware is in it. And if everyone just builds their own on their own ideas, yes, that's a station, but it is certainly not a Sky 360 station, because we try to capture data around the globe 24/7 and make them comparable. And if there's material from different sensors that we do not use,
Yeah.
how shall we compare?
Yeah, it can't work. I mean, so
Yeah.
I think, yeah, the best is just, very limited options, but ones that are widely available, I think is your plan.
Yeah.
With the store, joiner, there we go. Help funding test. That's the hardware development.
Yeah. So the menu is on the left top. It's
Okay, yeah.
the hamburger and
I've seen it
store.
before. There we go.
There
There we go.
it
Nice.
is. It's just one product now.
Okay,
We're
cool.
working on the next product already. So there are a couple of products that come up then. It's the PT set, because, for example, the pan tilt head that moves the scope around has to be very agile and precise. And yes, there is equipment in that world that does that job, but it costs $50,000. It does not make sense to anyone to purchase that. So that's why we set ourselves a task, and we have a team. It's called the PT set team, and we are building the inside, the interior. Yeah, exactly on the right side. It's the mechanical part in it. I mean, it will cost, with the scope altogether, with the electronics, below $1,000.
This is right
With
here, right? This part?
It's the right part. No, the very right part.
Oh, you're talking about the
Yeah, that one, the
PTZ.
turret. Yeah, that's the PT.
Okay, this whole thing will cost below 1,000.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it has the performance and agility and preciseness. Can you say that?
Yes.
Of $50,000 equipment.
Excellent.
That's the crucial thing.
How is that going, the development with the spin mechanism and the connector and everything? It seemed pretty cool engineering.
Boyan is testing several motors right now and destroying them. So
Okay.
we have 3 motors in it, the pan and tilt motors, and then the focus motor. And right now he's working on the focus motor, because that's a very tricky one, because we cannot, or no, we do not want to use end stops. So he goes with a very tiny screw that is very meticulous, and he has to twist it, and it is exactly 10 turns from end to end. But he has to touch the end and measure the amperage peak that goes up and stop the movement immediately. And not every motor is doing that in precise enough. And yeah, that's why he's testing a lot and demolishing a lot. Time to find just the right motor. I mean, motors, stepper motors. They cost between 10 and 50 bucks. You get them everywhere. But to find the right one who does the job right, that's the tricky thing. And you have to test a lot.
Yeah, I remember that was always an issue. It was the supply, getting the supply.
Yeah.
You still having a lot of supply issues with all the parts and everything?
Yeah, we have supply issues with electronics, boards, plastics, cameras, sensors.
Yes.
A cable is no shortage right now, interestingly. But
Okay.
everything else it's a problem.
All
And
right.
that's why we also we tested the IMAX 1A3 sensors from Sony, and there's a brand from China, and they export to Europe and the US. It's called QHY, and the camera we're looking for is the QHY 1A3. It's that
Okay.
camera I talked before, the 20 megapixel
Yep.
fisheye camera will be, and we get a good price. Normally, right now it costs almost $1,000 just the camera,
Wow.
and we get the price for I think it's now $720.
But that's everything. It's optics, sensor.
No, that's just the optic. That's just the camera. Sorry, the
Okay.
optic is comparably cheap. The optic is just
Okay.
80 bucks or so. So 800
Okay.
for the whole camera. But this is a high precision camera. This is not just
Yeah.
a webcam. It is a cooled camera. It will cool the sensor 40 degrees below ambient.
Okay. Cool.
It will keep it dry, which is very important because any condensation and dew is a killer.
Yep.
So that's a camera that's mostly used in astronomy.
Excellent.
That's how you're gonna use it. And forget about, I mean, the security cameras cost $400, $500, but they are actually rubbish. So yeah, $800 is more expensive, but buying something for 400 where, yeah, you have a reach of 5 to 10 kilometers compared to an $800 camera that can also see the ISS on 400 kilometers distance. So that's a difference in quality and double of the price, but the quality is much more than doubling. That's what I want to say. So this is something we always check: what hardware, and can we make it that expensive that people just have also the willingness to invest that money.
And then, so how much will it be now? If the cameras say 800, and then the enclosures say, what was it, 300 total?
Something around the 300 depends where you are. When you go to when you order from Australia, the shipping costs are rather high right now.
It's large or larger.
Yeah.
And then, what else is needed? Just the Jetson.
Right now we're talking about when we talk about the software for the alpha version in September, we will support a Jetson board with a Pi board in combination.
Okay.
We need that combo because the Jetson board is not capable of a 20 megapixel stream.
I thought they were going with a larger board, so it would negate that.
Yeah, but the larger board are so more expensive than what we need.
For
A
both.
Pi 4 does the job for let's say a third of the costs.
Okay.
And that's why we combine a Pi 4 8 gig with you can take a Jetson Nano, and the Pi will directly be connected to the camera and providing the stream on the WebSocket, and the Nano picks that stream up from that WebSocket and process it.
Okay. So then for this, I guess, do you have a estimate, like total cost?
Cost. Yeah, let's say 800 for the camera right now. Then we have the Pi 4. Right now, I think I bought the Pi 4 a month ago for 150, but I think right now it could be 200.
Yeah.
So it's let's say 1,000. Then you have the Nano. The Nano, I bought my Nano for 100. Right now, I saw it for 1,500 on the market. It's crazy, yeah. So we're always looking for better prices, and we have the curated list of hardware, and we exchange links if we get a better price and a better.
What about like the power supply, the router, all that
The
thing?
power supply is $50. Yeah, the switch depends what quality switch you take, but it could also be a $50 switch.
Yeah.
I would go for an 8-channel switch because there will be more equipment in the future. And
So you're looking at maybe like 1500 on the high end.
on the high end, yeah, 1500 for the first go, and then we will have for the next development, the PT set, that we will, let's say, that's our next goal after that one, after the September goal.
Yes.
And the software development is in parallel. So we have software teams several, and we have hardware teams several. So they work in parallel. So we think that the PT set could be available in next year, mid next year.
Okay.
And yeah, we hope to make it below the 1000. But I'm rather going for the 1500 because we will use probably the same camera, the QHY 183.
Yes.
Not because it is a 20 megapixel camera, but it has a high spectral range. It goes from 300 to 1100 nanometers. And that's very interesting when you have zoomed videos with a wide spectral range. And that's why I think it will be 1500, towards the 1500, the PT set. So you have 2 times 1500. So it's then,
Okay.
the final is then 3000 for the optical part. And then that's the goal to add passive radar in it. And at the moment, people work with Kraken SDR and some no-ALAC devices. The no-ALAC are cheap. You can get them for $50. The Kraken, I think it costs 400 or 500, something like this. So anything that goes into passive radar, yes, costs money, but not that much as the optics does at the beginning. So let's say we have a 1500 as a tier 1, we have a 3000 as a tier 2, and we have a 5000 as a tier 3. That's kind of a stepping.
Okay. Well, excellent. So then we'll, in an effort, we'll close this here. But last thing, Richard, is what can we do right now to help you guys? Is just keep putting out the word on the AI material training, and for any type of developers, hardware or software.
Yes, exactly. So we need hardware tinkerers, specialists. We have a lot of professionals, and we need software professionals as well, of course. And everyone who is an enthusiast. An enthusiast can bring on the table as much as a pro in shorter time, but can bring the same on the table. So we're not looking only for professionalists, but also for people who do this as a hobby, for example. And what we also need is, the people who are labeling the training material for the AIs. And what the UAP Society is about is, if I may say so, is an idea creation pool. So you are calling for ideas for people who have projects, who want to develop their project for UAP tracking, hunting, or analyzing, or what have you. And those ideas are interesting. So I'd say that's a very important part. And that's why I'm very happy about our partnership, because you are an idea pool.
Cool.
Yeah. So the projects you can finance in the future of people like Artisan Tony or other people's, I'm not aware of right now, is very important because they carry the torch, and each torch can be important to be incorporated into our Sky 360 network. So if someone comes up with a nice sensor, a nice detector, and can build it, for example, or it's easy to replicate, or you can even buy it from the shelf, and it's not very expensive, then we can incorporate it in our system very easily. Absolutely.
Yeah,
So
excellent.
we
We
want
had
to
some people right now talking about radio, radio detection. I know Level Drone does these communication type of experiments. But yeah, we're trying to figure out as a community, as a UAP society, how best we can move forward. I think that's a great point.
Yeah, that
Thank
I think that absolutely that's the beauty in it. It's this grassroots, and
you.
from grassroots can come up flowers. And if you find such a flower, you take them and integrate it in a big network.
Excellent. Yeah, well, cool. So what we're gonna do is every week, Richard, we're gonna have a Twitter space on Thursday.
Thursday, right?
Yeah, 16. I will do same time, 1600 UTC,
All right.
just for 30 minutes. So we'll try and keep it shorter, and then so twice a month now we'll just do kind of live streams like this, just basically different whoever wants to come on. So the next one basically will be we're focused on what I just mentioned. There is how do we make a research project? Level Drone, he's in here. Basically, he has an idea for an experiment using sound. Basically, it's like sound. Basically, you're recording sound. You speak out, but how do we communicate that? We need to write it down in a proposal so that other people can understand it and then replicate it, right? And if you have many people that are able to replicate it in different areas, then I think we can start getting some valuable data. So that'll be the focus of our next few Twitter discussions, and then on the next live stream we do, that'll be our focus. Will be the basically how we do that. So anyway,
brilliant.
More to let everybody know and let you know our process or how we're trying to move forward. So cool.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for being here, Richard. I'm gonna go into the Discord. Yeah, and basically just I have like 15 more minutes, guys. So I'll meet you on the Discord. We can chat there. You're welcome to come, Richard, or you can peace off.
I still have 50 minutes time. It's
okay, cool. Excellent. So let's go to our Discord then. I'll see you on the Discord in just the chat section.
Yeah.
All right. See you.
See you.
Thanks, guys, for being here.